Thousands gathered in Rome, Italy to bid farewell to Pope Francis at a solemn funeral ceremony which was held on Saturday at the St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City. While presiding over the funeral mass, the Dean of the College of Cardinals, that is Giovanni Battista Re, appealed for the pontiff's legacy of mercy, forgiveness and selflessness to be kept alive. He described Francis as a people's pope who opened the doors of the church to everyone, regardless of their beliefs. Safin Achieng Ouma details the events at the unique burial, which was modest and humble as per the request of the late Pope. Saturday, 11 a.m. East African time. The funeral mass of Pope Francis kick-started at the Vatican City in Rome, Italy. The solemn event, which was followed globally, began with a procession of cardinals and bishops taking their position in a long stretch within the St. Peter's Basilica as the coffin bearing the remains of the late Holy Father rested on the shoulders of pallbearers who calculated their steps through the somberness that engulfed the basilica towards the St. Peter's Square. The funeral mass, presided over by the Dean of the College of Cardinals, Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re.
Solennità di Pasqua.
The final image we have of him, which will remain etched in our memory, is that of last Sunday, Easter Sunday, when Pope Francis, despite his serious health problems, wanted to give us his blessing from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica.
Pope Francis, whose full name was George Mario Bergoglio, was elected by the conclave on March 13, 2013, to succeed Pope Benedict XVI, a position he held until his death on Easter Monday at the age of 88.
Despite his frailty and suffering towards the end, Pope Francis chose to follow this path of self-giving until the last day of his earthly life.
In his homily, Cardinal Giovanni reminded the world of the Pope's evangelism, which was centered on mercy, love, and forgiveness.
He often used the image of the church as a field hospital after a battle. A church capable of bending down to every person, regardless of their beliefs or condition.
And after the final blessing of the coffin of Pope Francis, it was then taken back into the St. Peter's Basilica for the last time, before being placed on a white open-air hearse, which was used to transfer the Holy Pope's remains through a 30-minute stretch across the streets of Rome to the St. Mary's Major Basilica, his chosen final resting place. Unlike his predecessors, Pope Francis requested a more humble burial. His was a single coffin. It was made of simple wood with a simple cross engraved on it. And after a final moment of goodbye to the outside world, the funeral procession went into the St. Mary's Major Basilica, making a brief stopover for Pope Francis to bid goodbye to the icon of Mary's Salus Populi Romani, whom he entrusted himself and his congregation to so many times. Pope Francis was finally taken to his simple tomb in a private burial presided over by Cardinal Camerlengo Kevin Farrell. A moment that was not just for bidding farewell to Pope Francis, but one that was quite symbolic of his pilgrimage as he transitioned from the temporary world into eternal life. Safin Achieng Ouma, Citizen TV.